It was a quiet morning at Monsters, Inc. James P. Sullivan, also known as Sully, had gotten in early to catch up on his paperwork. He smiled as he reviewed the monthly laugh reports. At Monsters, Inc., it was the monsters' job to go to the human world and make kids laugh. The laughs were used as energy for the city of Monstrotropolis. It had been Sully's idea, and now he was president of Monsters, Inc. He was glad everything was going so well. Suddenly the phone rang. "Hello," said Sully. "It's dispatch," said the voice on the other end of the line. "Annual slumber party at little Shannon Brown's house. Waxford is out sick. We need a replacement." "I'll get right on it," replied Sully. He knew that there would be a lot of kids at the party, and he wanted to make sure there was a monster there to tell jokes and capture laughs. Sully thought hard about who to send. He wanted to send the best monster on the case. He smiled to himself, who better for the job than his one-eyed pal Mike Wazowski. Mike was Monsters, Inc.'s top laugh collector. He could make anybody laugh. Sully knew his best friend would be perfect for the job. Mike was in the locker room getting ready for work. He had just finished putting his contact lens, which was the size of a pizza, in one eye when Sully walked in. Sully explained the situation to Mike. "I'm your man," Mike said confidently. "Great," Sully exclaimed. Whistling, he went back to the office to finish his laugh reports. "Piece of cake," Mike said as a door slid into his station on the laugh floor. "One joke and I'll collect enough energy for the year." Then Mike opened the door and walked through the closet in Shannon Brown's house. It was empty. Hello?" Mike called. He looked around the room. He peeked under the bed, but there was no one there. Some party, he thought. I wonder where everyone would go. Just as Mike started walking towards the closet, he heard the sound of laughter. "All right, now we're in business," Mike exclaimed. "Be prepared to laugh." Just then, thunder cracked across the sky, and a flash of lightning lit up the dark room. Mike jumped. If there was one thing he didn't like, it was a thunderstorm. "I'm okay. I'm fine," Mike shouted. Then he ran to the closet door to return to the factory. Mike couldn't believe his eyes. Sitting at the end of the hall was a large, furry creature with fangs. It was panting heavily. "Oh, man," he cried, "am I ever glad to see a fellow monster around here." Taking a deep breath, Mike started to walk closer to the creature. And just as he did, the creature lunged toward him and knocked him down, and within seconds, he began to lick Mike. "Ah!" he screamed. "Dog breath!" Mike hated dogs. He pushed the dog off him and ran as fast as he could into the nearest room. He slammed the door shut. He was safe, for now. Meanwhile, back at Monsters, Inc., Sully was working on the laugh floor. The floor manager came running over. "Sully! Sully!" he shouted. "Mike still hasn't returned from the slumber party. He's never been gone this long." When Sully went to check on the door, he discovered it had malfunctioned. It didn't open into a closet. That meant that Mike was stuck in Shannon Brown's house. "Uh-oh," said Sully, "we got a problem here." Sully brought in a maintenance crew to figure out how to fix the door. Together, the monsters pulled all the levers and pushed all the buttons on the door to try to get it to open properly. When that didn't work, Sully read the emergency manuals. He and the other monsters tried everything they could. After a few hours, the door made a clicking sound. It was working. Now it would open into a different room at Shannon's house. The monsters cheered. Back at the house, Mike walked into the bathroom. "Ouch!" The green monster squealed as he tripped on a yellow rubber ducky and went rolling across the floor. Finally, Mike crashed into the wall and stopped. And then he heard a lot of giggling down the hall. Mike did not like this assignment or this house, but he was determined to find the party, so he lifted himself off the floor and followed the laughter. But when he found the right door and opened it, it was quiet. Slowly, Mike entered the dark, silent room. All of a sudden, a light went on. Mike jumped. Shannon Brown and all her friends started roaring with laughter. They thought Mike looked funny sneaking into the room. Ah! Mike was so frightened that he couldn't stop yelling. And at that exact moment, the closet door opened, and Sully burst into the room. Sully was so surprised to find Mike screaming that all he could do was let out an especially big scream. Ah! He yelled, and then he and Mike jumped towards each other and huddled in fright. The girls at the slumber party laughed and laughed and laughed. The big blue monsters with purple spots hugging a one-eyed green little monster was the funniest thing they'd ever seen. Mike and Sully looked at each other and smiled, and then Mike jumped to the floor and they both took a bow. The kids cheered. "Looks as if our work is done here," Sully said. He and Mike headed through the closet door and back to Monsters, Inc. laugh floor. They had filled so many canisters with laugh that Mike was named the top laugh collector of the day. "I was never scared for a second," Mike said, hoping Sully would believe him. "Ha! Me neither, buddy," Sully replied with big furry fingers crossed behind his back. "Me neither."